Hello again, everyone. Todd Michael Putnam here from D&D Creative Table Designs, bringing you yet another adventure table idea. And this one is a simple forest road adventure. Forest road adventure. So obviously there's times when you do these and during your campaigns where you just have a travel session where, going from point A to point B, it's going to take some time, maybe a couple days or a couple weeks. And so you might have a session or two where you're just traveling along on the road. Obviously, it's D&D. If you just want to, as a DM, skip it and you go from point A to point B, you can. But if you want to make if the road is supposed to be dangerous or if there's supposed to be challenges going on between the two locations, then you're going to have traveling adventures. And the idea behind this particular adventure is I just want to show how on obviously a limited size table, mine is 6x4 or thereabouts, 6x5 with from end to end. As far as this table is concerned, but even with a limited table size, how you can go and just use a non-contiguous table design even to run your adventures, even though it looks like it's contiguous on the table. What does that mean? That sounds crazy. So the idea behind non-contiguous basically means is that everything on the table isn't actually connected the way that it looks like. You're just going to zoom in the player's attention and you're not going to have everything on the table at once. For example, if you're starting on this part of the road from here and this is where the adventure is going to start, I wouldn't fill in these things here. I would have them in a little baggie set aside, and I would have each of the other encounters. I would have this encounter over here all bagged up in a little baggie so I can deploy it when the players eventually get to that area. Same for any of the encounters. So for starters, for example, if the players come along and they're in their apologies on the camera, and I'll even grab the horse too. So move it along to its appropriate location. So let's just say the players are traveling along with a merchant. We're making it up as we go along here. They're traveling along in a merchant. They're escorting them, and they come to a bend in the road, and there's the standard tree that has been knocked over onto the road itself. Obviously, an immediate alert for danger. And then from out of the shadows and behind rocks and trees and stuff come the highwaymen to rob the players and stuff. Well, I wouldn't have these guys sitting here. I just have a baggie behind my DM screen that has these highwaymen out, and when they get to this location, I open up the baggie and I put them down, and as they come out, and one of the highwaymen starts talking to the players to try and get them to rob them without actually having to get physically violent. Look, we've got you surrounded. There's nobody around for miles. You do yourself a favor and just drop your bag of gold there and this thing, and we'll let you on pass, and we'll just consider it a tax, or whatever they want to say, and then however the players want to respond. But the point being that this one little segment, what you would say is everything past over here is just all forest around you. You merge theater of the mind and the player and the visually immersive terrain all into one experience where they can see this right there, but they use their imagination to say, oh, and there's trees like this all the way around for basically as far as you can see on both sides. So that you can focus on the action right here that's in front of you, but the players understand that it's basically in a kind of a desolate portion of the forest, and there's not likely to be any help or anything around. So you just pull the baggie out and go like that. Now, if the bad guys retreat for some reason, the players really whoop their butt and they start running through the forest to go back to their camp, or if the players take one of the bad guys captive and he has them lead them back to the camp, whatever it is, then you could bring them through the forest section. And if they're retreating and running away, then you might have a running battle going through the forest section, and you can just move this piece around, move the scatter terrain around, move the rock around, and just swap a couple of trees real quick, and you have a quick foresty type area that the battle's going on until eventually they get to the bad guys' camp, this area right here, which is a good place for the players to investigate, because this would be where all of the spoils that the highwaymen have grabbed over however long that they've been committing their larcenous trade. This is where it would be collected at, so there's some loot to be gained here. I just grab a baggie that has each of these things, and you just lay it out in a matter of a couple of seconds and go. You come through, you burst through the trees or whatever it is, and you see that there is a clearing where there's several tents, and you can see that there are several other highwaymen, ruffian-like gentlemen that are gathered around a campfire. And maybe they have a lookout or maybe they don't, however you want to play it. But the point being, it doesn't all have to be exactly contiguous. It doesn't mean that the physical distance from that fallen tree to this campsite is exactly the distance here. You could have it be a couple of 100 yards and you just keep replaying in various sections where they are on in between some trees. And it extends the size of your map beyond the physical boundaries of what you have. So, and then the same thing would happen. Let's say they resolve that conflict and they make it over the bridge. And as a DM, you can say, okay, you're traveling for another couple of hours, or maybe it's the next day, whatever it is. Maybe it's approaching to be evening. And as you're going over this bridge, you hear the sound of music and you hear the sound of laughter and stuff. And there's a campfire going on. And they come around the corner, and there's a bard troupe that's camped on the side of the road that's practicing their craft and getting ready, maybe for the next the next gig that they have to do in the next town over. And they could be a perfectly good bard troupe where they just use their tricks and stuff on the players and see if they can challenge them to like knife throwing contests. Or sell them healing potions, or whether they really heal or not, would be up to the DM, of course. Or challenge other dexterous types for wagers and stuff to see who can jump through the flaming hoops. Or they could be evil type guys where they're pickpockets and stuff, and they're stealing from the players while they've got them distracted doing these other things. Or possibly the soothsayer could give them a particular fortune, or could curse the players and put some kind of a curse on them, which may not take hold immediately. There's lots of options of what you can do, but the point being that you don't lay these things out until the players get into the area. This is just going to be one section, and this doesn't have to be open like this. With all this removed, you could take a couple extra trees and put it in there so the players aren't even going to think that that's an open area because you've already moved the trees around. And when you get to this area, move a tree, pull out a baggie, and put the stuff here. And so it still acts as a surprise because the scatter terrain is movable, is quickly and easily movable. So that's the idea of behind being able to do such a thing. Some of them are bigger, like this one here, so you just want to have some larger baggies that you can put stuff in. For your larger encounters that have more minis and terrain to it. Smaller encounters like this, where it's maybe there's some kind of a half ogre with a trained owl bear or something like that by the side of the road, and they demand food or they demand gold or something, or maybe they're just trying to be left alone, and they're being hassled by the bandits over there. Whatever story you want to make, but the point being, that's when it's not until the players get in the area to see this thing, and it could be quote unquote hours later or days later before they get to this particular encounter. So for an example, and it's really hard to do this with the phone in one hand because it's obviously be a two-handed thing, but essentially the players get to an area over here and they see that there's a horse there and there's some kind of a wagon or whatever it is. Well, you just grab a baggie full of goblins, and when the players get to that area and they start checking it out, all you do is you just start placing the goblins as they come out from from their hiding places to go and ambush the players, and just say, you hear scraping sounds or you hear some goblin war cries or whatever it is that you say, and then you just start placing your goblins on the table, and voila. You've transformed it from just the location that it was into an ambush site. So super quick and easy. All you need are some little baggies to put your minis in and whatever terrain is necessary, and just have them bagged up behind your Dungeon Master screen. And as the players get to those areas, and you describe to them how long it's taken to get to that particular area, give them a verbal description of the surroundings a little bit more. Are the birds chirping? Is the wind blowing? Is there any particular scents that are on the air? Do you hear any other sounds or anything like that's going on? How tired or hungry? How hot or cold are the players? Things like that, of course, those verbal descriptions that go and add that extra element to the experience, in addition to what they can see visually that just finishes off the painting of the picture in their mind, so to speak. Put those things out there, and then as they get to the right location, that's when you pull out the baggie and you just lay out within a couple of seconds the encounters. So in open areas like this, as a big open table, I get lots of questions about how could you possibly hide the encounters? How do you not, how do the players not metagame and just go straight from here to there, or bypass this or bypass that? And the answer is because the encounters aren't on the table, and the trees and stuff have been moved around such that you can't tell where an encounter may or may not be. You displace them and move them about, and then when they get to an area that will be an encounter, that's when you move the trees into the location that you want them to be very quickly, and pull out the contents of the baggie for that particular encounter. And then the second part of that is just that it's all non-contiguous, meaning it's not literally 500 feet or whatever it is from the right side of the screen here to the left side, or from the road to the bandit encampment. You can make that distance as much as you want, and the same with anything else. Even though I have all the roads connecting, you can say, yes, that's the way the roads connect, but it could be this one little section of the road right there might just be an indicator of a full day's travel headed straight to the north. And whether or not something happens during that time frame is up to the DM, whether they do random encounters or not. And that's the way that it works. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and my players love it when I do stuff like that. It's still every bit as surprising because there's no way for them to really know what encounters are going to happen when, or what they're going to be, and that keeps things surprising, keeps things interesting. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying the channel and you find the information useful. As far as this particular table layout, the mats itself, these are 2 mats. These are the D&D, WizKids Dungeons & Dragons Icons of the Realm Plains mat. There's 2 of them. They're 5 foot by 3 foot. So I've got them laid side by side. So that's the green mat underneath. Almost all the trees and bushes are from Monster Fight Club, along with these hills and the other brown hills and stuff over here. Those are all Monster Fight Club. The few things there's a couple Dwarven Forge, there's a couple of woods and stuff, stumps, and a few trees like this one right here. Those are Dwarven Forge Dread Hollow Forest. You can get those on their website. It was originally from Kickstarter. Obviously, it's out of Kickstarter now, but it may or may not be in stock, so you always have to look for that. The river is from Pegasus Hobbies. That's been in stock for years, they run great. The only thing that one of these days I'm going to get repainted, because the painting they have on this river is opposite of what it seems, where the center is the most shallow and the stuff towards the edges is the deeper part of the river with the darker blue. That's kind of opposite the way that it should be. So one of these days I'm going to have that repainted. But other than that, they're just plastic river pieces that you clip on together, and they function great. They have the banks on the side of them, so they work really well. I honestly don't remember where I got this bridge from. I think I got it off of eBay or Etsy or something like that, and it's just a XPS foam carved out bridge. So, and then the roads, that's the big exciting one. Unfortunately, the roads, which are so hard to find, the company that did produce these roads is no longer in business. I got them off of eBay, and I have not been able to find them since. I've got 3-inch roads from them and 5-inch wide roads. They're great. I love them, but unfortunately they're out of business. So that's something that you'd probably have to craft yourself, or see if you can find somebody else that's got 3D printed or crafted roads that are available on eBay or Etsy. So thank you again for watching. Appreciate any comments that you have, and I will see you guys next adventure. Take care.